Hello, friends, family, fans. Welcome back to Back Nine Bets, episode 12. Duck, duck, wolf. I know it makes no sense, but I couldn't come up with anything else. Anyway, we are going into the Amex this week. We had ourselves a week last week. We didn't cash an outright, no first round leader, none of that jazz, but we crushed it with 8 units of profit on our bread and butter bets. That's what we do on Back Nine Bets. That's what we love. It's our backbone. Back Nine Bets, backbone. So there's lots going on today. We got some outrights, we got some placings, we got some fat numbers on some top 20s. We're looking forward to that this week. Had a good week last week. Let's see what's going on. I had some issues with some, what you call it. My mouse stopped working earlier, so we had to figure that out. But anyway, yeah, we are. Let's get into it right away. Amex, we need some serious action from people that can knock it off the tee pretty nicely, but we heavy on approach this week. Big time approach players. We want those guys. 3 different golf courses. They're playing with amateurs. You know, that's going to be chaotic. It's going to be a fun time watching. We're going to get that ESPN Plus mega subscription, the hard launch now, so we can see what those guys get up to with the broadcasting. It's going to be a fun time watching, and we're going to see if our guys we pick do well for us on all this all stuff. So anyway, what we're looking for is approach players that can knock it in. The pins are going to be placed nicely because I don't want amateurs hacking around for 7 hours, so they're going to be a little less tucked away. I think approach players can go right at flag hunting. So the guys that suck at putting with really good approach game, maybe they do a little bit better this time because this tournament, because they can actually just fire at these flags and go to like 6 feet instead of 12 feet on these approaches, because they're going to be hitting from like 125 to 200, 46% of the time. So that's why we've got our little proximity range over here, 125 to 200 for our boy Johnny Rahm, who ranks 39th in the field from that range, which is one of the things that I'm a little concerned about from the big guy. It's one of the only chinks in his armor, in fact. So it's going to be interesting seeing how he does with a birdie fest like this, where last week or 2 weeks ago at the Century Tournament Champions, he seemed to play pretty well, but a lot of those shots are from like 150 and out, which is where he thrives. That's where his approach numbers are just exceptional. He's unbettable for a top 20. He's like 300 points too far from any sort of value. So we're not doing anything there. We are just touching him softly in the DFS market. And it's going to be a fun time with Jon Rahm. At 19% ownership, I couldn't figure out how to get this into percentage, but it's okay. 0.19 is 19%. And Jon Rahm is going to be on our card if he stays under the 20% there. I really do think so. He's due for a win. The guy's just playing exceptional golf. I'm not sure he can do it for that much longer and not win a tournament, unless Louis is in front of him at a major. That's the only way. But we'll see what he can get up to. I think he's going to play exceptionally. He's won a tournament here at the golf course that they're playing, the 3 different golf courses that they're playing. So I'm thinking he's going to play nicely for us. I think he's going to do great. I mean, across the board, yeah, we got birdie or better approach, putting, last 24 rounds, just like 1s and 2s scattered all over the place. The guy's an absolute machine. He's so good. He's so good. But he couldn't beat our boy Cam. He could not. So hopefully he does it this week. We're going to be on him. You know, I'll even take a second place from Jon Rahm because we have outrights that don't include Jon Rahm. So obviously we're not going to bet against ourselves. So anyway, Jon Rahm, we're going to roll with him if he stays under 20% ownership to a small degree. Next up is Patrick Canttley. Paddy Ice, the lip-licking machine. He's at a casual $10,900 on DraftKings. He's the second-ranked golfer on our model. He's at 20% ownership, and he's also just super solid. His approach game is just fantastic. I mean, all these big guys at the top of the world rankings are great approach players. That's just kind of what, you know, because that's the driving stat. It's you have to play well with your irons to really kick ass. So Patrick Canttley's approach game is pretty nice. But also from that short yardage range, his proximity numbers, not like a lot worse than Jon Rahm's actually. So that's another thing to contemplate. We couldn't get him on a top 20, so we're going to skip that there. His odds are minus 195. That's like really Like, that's really hard to get to. So we're going to skip that one. And I just think he's one of the hottest golfers coming into the tournament, as his last 24 rounds have been incredible. He's pretty much just, I mean, if Cam and Jon Rahm weren't in a duel for the ages, he probably would have won, at the Tournament of Champions. So he's playing nicely. You got to pick your poison at the top of the board. I think we're going to roll with Jon Rahm for the most part. And then kind of as we get down, I think we're going to go a lot heavier with, I think our boy Tony is coming up later. We'll see. But yes, Patrick Canttley, no good. Not touching him with much at all. So Hayden Barkley comes in as my third-ranked golfer in the model. And he's at 6% ownership on DraftKings at $7,200. So Hayden is one of those guys that just absolutely crushes it off the tee. He's only had like 6 starts on tour, and he's had 3 top 20s. So the guy is a freak. He's an exceptional golfer, and I think he's going to do nicely for us at the Amex. We cashed a top 20 on Hayden Barkley last week at plus 700. Plus 700 for a top 20 cashed. It was about a third of our profit almost. And you know what? FanDuel went and hung another 500, a plus 500 for a top 20 on Hayden Barkley in a field that you can almost argue is slightly weaker, and it almost suits his game more. Although he did have the second best fairway percentage average last week. He missed like 7 fairways behind Rory Sabatini, who missed the cut. So out of everyone that made the cut, he hit the most fairways. Incredible stuff. His stats are very raw. There's not a big sample size on Mr. Barkley. But what we've seen so far is incredible. And I'm going to try and capitalize on him again before everyone catches wind. At 6% ownership, he's probably going to be in 90% of my lineups, 80% of my lineups. I'm thinking I want to pair him and Jon Rahm up because Hayden Barkley should probably be in the 8,000s, I think. But yes, we haven't seen much about the guy, so it's tough to decide, what to think. But so far, so good. We're rolling with this dude. He's been fantastic. He's our first outright of the day at 150 to 1. Ooh, it's going to be sexy when he does well for us because we got him as an each way as well. So he just needs to finish inside the top 6. And then what? It's 37.5 to 1 for a top 6. And I put down $2.50. So whatever. We'll cash out at $80 or something for a top 6 if he doesn't win the damn thing. But man, he's playing some good golf. Let's see if we can capitalize. We're going to go DFS, going to go top 20 at plus 500 for Hayden Barkley. The guy's playing incredible, and it's just going to be a fun time watching this man play some golf on a course that he can absolutely unload the drive on. Next up, Corey Connors, 9,400 bone, 13% own, and the man is a ball striking machine. From 125 to 200, he's in top 23 in the field, and then just in general, his approach game is phenomenal. Putting is a bit of a problem for the man from Canada, but you can only hope for so much from a golfer. You can't be perfect in all departments unless your name's Jon Rahm. So yes, we're gonna leave Corey Connors off the field. Yeah, we're not really gonna touch him too much apart from a top 20. I think DFS we might. I don't know. I'm liking a lot more guys. If we're going to go a lot of Jon Rahm and a lot of Barkley, I'm not sure if we can get to $9,400 over here. Especially at a tournament where they're going to have to be making a lot of birdies. I don't know. Corey hits it close though. It's an interesting concept. We'll see if he stays around 13. We might sprinkle him in a few lineups, but other than that, we're just going to roll with him for a top 20 at plus 100. So just a fresh, clean unit turnover there if he does cash in. And he did so for us last week. He was one of the boys. He had himself a day on Sunday. Came from way out of the mix and finished inside the top 20 for us and cashed at like 125, I think, which was beautiful. Corey Connors is fantastic. I mean, off the tee and approach game is so good. And he's so consistent. We might sprinkle a first-round leader on the boy because that's what he does best. He just comes out firing and then just kind of plateaus. So we'll see. I'm not entirely sure how we're rolling with him, but we do have a top 20 on him. So that's going to be good there. And yes, 13% owned. I don't know. We'll see. Sanjay M, I don't have much to say about Sanjay. He pops in the model. He's usually just below the top guys every single time. Had a bad week last week, 21% ownership, not touching Sanjay. Not a lot wrong with his game. I mean, there's a lot to like, actually. I mean, his recent form, last 24 rounds, has been phenomenal. His par 5 scoring is great. Birdie or better, top 12 in the field. There's a lot to like. He's off the tee game. He's really impressive. But I couldn't find a number on him that made sense in the model because he's ranked 5th. Maybe if he was ranked like 2nd, we would get in there because the odds in order to bet get more and more as you go down the model. So plus 100 is for number 1, and then like 105 for number 2, 110 for number 3, etc. So number 5 was probably 125-ish, and he just couldn't get there at 105 for a top 20. So Sanjay M, we're going to be a nice short and sweet on him until we go to our man, the big tone Finau. And Finau now, we're going to see what happens this week. At 16% ownership, Tony comes in with some impressive ball striking numbers. He crushes the par 5s. His recent form is okay. It's nice. It would be a lot better if he could putt. And he just can't putt. That's just his biggest problem. Tony cannot putt. But I think his ball striking can carry him. He's played well around this golf course before. We know that. He likes to play at the Amex, and he likes to play nicely there. So we're going to go top 20 for Tony Finau at plus 110. 1 unit on him there. And we're probably going to sprinkle a little bit of Tony Finau into our lineups. We'll see. Where we don't have John Rahm, I think we're going to go Tony. I think that ownership's going to keep dropping from 16%. I don't know why people want to go to a guy that can't putt, but we can. Because you know what? We saw with Hideki last week, anything can happen. I mean, he was playing at a course where he had like an all-time worst career putting statistics leading up to the event. The next thing, he had a career best putting performance at a course that he's never putted well at ever in his life. So that's what you got to do at a course like this. Again, we're going to embrace some variability, some volatility, and throw it into Tony Finau's face and see what he does with it. I'm looking forward to him doing some fancy things for us. Top 20, plus 110, Tony Finau, some sprinkles on the cards where we don't have John Rahm. Next up, Russell Henley. My God. I feel terrible for this guy. I really, really do. He's one of my favorite golfers, and you know what? Last week, he cashed in 2.5 units for us because he finished top 20, undoubtedly finished top 20 for us, and he beat Matt Jones. They had him versus Matt Jones at negative 120 for a matchup, which was a community win, essentially. Everyone was on that one. The model kicked it out. It was beautiful. Russell Henley just keeps pumping out profit for me. I wasn't on him for an outright because we had a sneaky feeling that he might have a situation going on. But it isn't his golf game, so to speak, the physical swing that's letting him down. It's his approach, mental approach on the back nine / when it's crunch time. He just doesn't seem to keep his foot on the gas for a guy that can really dial it in with his irons. He just seems to get a little conservative and makes bad mental decisions and hits the right shot, executes the wrong game plan. Like on 18, he hit it into the bunker twice. I don't understand how you can hit it into the freaking 18th fairway bunker twice in a row on the same day. He just could never figure out that tee shot. If he could just figure out his tee shot on 18, he probably wins this damn thing. So I don't know. He needs to just figure out, maybe kick the caddy off the bag or tell him to wake up or go take a course management seminar or something. Russell Henley and his caddy need to figure out a proper game plan for when the heat gets turned on. They need to put on some protective gear and go fight. The front nine was what you want from Russ on the back nine. So I don't know what Russell Henley's going to do, but for some godforsaken reason, they hung a 185 on him. FanDuel hung a 185 for a top 20 on Russell Henley. So we're going back to the man who is just a ball striking machine. I think he he's been playing great. If he can keep the putter going, he sneaks inside the top 20 here quite easily. His ball striking is just so consistent. So we're going to go with Russ, the flush bus. Russ, plus 185 for a top 20. The guy's playing exceptionally well right now. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why they did that, but we're going to capitalize. 185 on FanDuel. Let's rock and roll. I think we're going to just stay there with him. Going to leave him in DraftKings DFS. Abraham Ancer let us down big time last week. We had an outright on Abe, and he pooped it down his pants. Pooped his pants on the back nine, pretty much like Russell Henley, but the heat wasn't even on. He just doesn't play well at that golf course, and I don't take course history into account that much in my models. Probably should have for this guy, because it just seems like he just doesn't give an F when he goes to certain places like that. I mean, he just putted himself. What was he doing? How do you putt that badly for a guy that can putt so well? He's the 17th best putter in this field, and he just nothing good from him. It was terrible. He missed the cut. We missed out on top 20. It was just cost us lots of money. So Abraham Ancer is kind of on the poopy list with us, and I'm not entirely sure if we're going to do anything with the guy. So we're going to just brush over him, apart from just ripping him a new one on this episode. We're just going to keep on moving down the board to Scotty Scheffler. He doesn't rank that well in the models because he's very inconsistent. He's similar to Russell Henley, where he can't quite get it together on a Sunday when he's in contention. But everything about the man tells you that he can play. Now, as you see here, he's just okay from all those aspects. His putting, his approach is what lets him down when the heat intensifies on a Sunday. His off the tee game is fantastic. He can drive it like he does the Michael Jackson sweet moving feet on the tee box. I mean, no one's got more busy feet than Scotty Scheffler. He does what he needs to off the tee. He's got good recent form, and he obviously crushes the par fives because he's always aiming at the green from the fairway-ish because of his tee shots. But what can he do from 125 to 200? What can he do with his approach game? Can he get the putter hot? The guy, and I mean, his power rankings are disgusting. So we're just fading Scotty entirely. Cool. So Abraham Ancer, Scotty Scheffler, both can take a back seat on back nine bets. Wolff, duck, Wolff. My God, I forgot that was the photo for Will Zelotaurus. He is an interesting looking character, but I tell you what, I don't care what you look like if you can strike irons like this man. He's the third best approach player in this field. We like that, right behind Russell Henley and Jon Rahm. His off the tee game is really nice. He crushes the par fives. Now, his proximity numbers are a little bit of a concern, but it's okay. It's only 46%. There's 54% elsewhere that I'm sure he makes up with, but it's not ideal. And now, Will Zelotaurus, his putter is a big, big question mark. The man can absolutely put on a stripe show and then get to the greens, and you can see the putter just going skew on the takeaway. It's really weird. For an arm lock putter, it does not go back at a 90 degree. The perpendicular system for Will Zelotaurus it's slightly skewed. The man just can't keep it together on the greens, but he's a ball striking phenom, and they got him to finish inside the top 20 at plus 200. He's going to do that by just having birdie look after birdie look after birdie look. He's going to be hitting so many greens, and he's going to be hitting so many golf balls stiff. He's going to be a fantastic person to watch because it's going to be down the fairway, money on the green, 12-footer, does it go in or not? That's pretty much what decides how Will Zelotaurus is going to do this week. 10% owned, we're going to go there a little bit, just a tiny bit, and we'll see what we can get up to with the man. Top 20, though, plus 200. He can turn them out. His ball striking keeps him there. If he can just putt above average, I think he'll do it for us. Will Zelotaurus, plus 200 for top 20. Let's go. He's a great guy to bet on. He's very consistent with the long irons and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what we can do. And now this guy. Now this guy is a guy I like. Seamus Power. Man, you've heard me talk about this dude if you've been listening to this show since it started. Seamus Power, a 13% owned 9,500 smacks on DK is going to be okay for us. We are going there. The guy's just an all-round grinder. He just gets it done. And after the Barbasol win, he's just been playing with this like freedom where he's just been absolutely sensational. He's been grinding out top 20s. He was one of our guys that cashed. Plus 175 for a top 20 last week. Cashed it quite easily. It was a beautiful sight. Plus 150 this week around. Couldn't find a good number for the man because it just seems like he's just, I don't know. But the model, hasn't caught up to him yet. I mean, look at his last 24 rounds. 6th best in the field. If he was the 6th best player in the model, 150 for a top 20 would definitely be a green light for a bet there. So we'll see. We're definitely going to roll with him in some DFS. I think. So we don't have a lot of outrights. We only have 3, and I don't feel comfortable betting against John Rahm this week. I just think he's going to do exceptionally well. Between him and Canttley, I mean, they've got a lot of the trophy hoisting percentages in their pockets. So we'll see what happens. But if there is someone who's been playing exceptionally well and those two falter, Seamus Power is your guy. So we're going to be going to Seamus with a lot of our DraftKings lineups. 13% own 9,500 smacks. I'm going to go there. We're going to go there. He's just the recent form, and he just dominates the par 5s. There's 4 par 5s on this course. It's going to be a lot of birdies there. If you can somehow manage to play them around 12 under, then you just have to make another 12 birdies on all the other holes. So over the course of the event. So we'll see what we can get up to there. Seamus Power's been playing so fantastically. We're gonna go with Seamus. See what he can do. Taylor Gooch, our 12th ranked golfer in the field. His approach play is fantastic. His recent form is slightly better than Seamus. These two guys have been doing a fantastic career trajectory together. It's in a similar kind of angle. Excuse me. Phoebe, go. Caitlin, call Phoebe, would you? It's go. Move. Come on. There we go. Apparently Phoebe isn't a fan of Taylor Gooch. Anyway, sorry about that, y'all. Okay. He is just a guy that we want to go after, but at 20% we can't. So I'm a little rattled. The dog just went a little chaos. She's usually pretty good when I do this kind of stuff. But we can't go there at 20%. I'm going to go with Seamus. I mean, you got to take a gamble at the top of the board. Seamus is the guy we're going to go with. I mean, I do like Taylor Gooch a lot, but he's just too popular, and rightly so. I mean, his recent form and par 5 scoring and his approach game is just fantastic. But we can't go there. 20% can't do it. Sorry, people. We're not going to do any of that nonsense. And then we got a guy called Cameron Tringale, who's just been an absolute freak for us. He usually cashes those top 20s real nicely, but we couldn't get him into a top 20 this week, unfortunately. But at 7% owned, at a course like this where you need really good putting and a really good approach game and a lot of birdies, he does all of that. He putts slightly better on POA than he does just in general. His par 5 scoring is inside the top 20. Like, everything about his game is really solid, apart from his weird ass wave that he does when he makes all those birdies. Stop the waving thing, dude. It's very weird. I know I'm weird, but only a few people watch me. Lots of people watch you, and you are very weird. So stop doing that nonsense. Just make the birdies and just give a thumbs up or something like Phil Mickelson. Anyway, 7% ownership at $8,900. Cameron Tringale is going to be our guy. Yeah, he's going to be our guy. 7%. It's nice. It's nice. Matthew Wolff, 14th ranked golfer in the model, comes in this week at 9th in recent form. His recent form is really encouraging. At a golf course like this, where it's slightly more open, he can get a little more loose off the tee than other courses we have played in the past. I think he can get, if he can get the driver is the biggest issue for this man. As you can see off the tee game for the man in Wolff, the name of the episode is after this guy, Duck Duck. So what we're doing is we ducking out of the off the tee game that he has had in the past, and we're going with Wolff with the off the tee game that we know he can do. We're betting on his upside. We're banking on him just launching it down the fairway. The guy just types in new codes every tee box and just sends it. He's going to do good stuff if he can get the driver rolling. So that's going to be a critical part of his game. 10% owned in DraftKings. Some people are shying away from him. So we're going to roll with him in a few lineups for sure. I like him. He's got massive upside. He can absolutely dominate if the driver does well. It's all hinges on the driver. We know his approach game is going to be good. We know he can putt lights out. He can make a lot of birdies. He dominates the par fives. Those are the things we're looking for at a course like this, at an event like this. You want an aggressive player. You don't want someone like Christian Bizet note. He just doesn't seem to. I like him. He's my boykie, but it's too conservative of a player. Matthew Wolff is the aggressor. He's going to go take that golf course apart. He's going to bite into it and let us know how it tastes. Hopefully it tastes good. Let that driver eat, buddy. Let it eat. 33-1. Matthew Wolff is our second outright as well. We love him. We love Matthew Wolff. And one of the reasons I bet him an outright, because whenever I see him on the golf course and I don't have an outright ticket on the man, I have FOMO. I have the most FOMO over Matthew Wolff. He just scares me. His game can he can win this thing by 6 shots. And maybe that's an over-exaggeration, but this guy can absolutely crush it. He can get hot and just make 6 birdies in a row. He can just do it. He really can. He can hit it so far. He's around the green game is okay. When he gets close to these greens with his launch codes that he just comes off with the driver, it can be exciting stuff to look forward to. So hopefully Matthew Wolff can pull it out for us. The power putting, we'll see. Hopefully he can overcome that slightly, but 33-1, Matthew Wolff, small ownership. I like it. 10% for a guy that I think is going to win the tournament. We're going to go to Matthew Wolff for a decent amount of DraftKings as well. Let's see, Matt. Just get the driver, duck out of the way. Let the driver eat, bud. Let the driver eat. All right, so this guy, Emiliano Grillo. Look at this. You can't even see his recent form. Last 24 rounds, it doesn't even fit the box that I have there because he's been sucking. Get it together, homie. The model loves you, but I don't. The maniac doesn't. Okay? I don't know what your deal is. Your approach game, your birdies, your off the tee, everything that we want from a golfer from you is there. Bring it to the golf course when we bet on you, please. I'm not sure what's going on. We bet him a top 20 last week, didn't even make the cut. Now, it was a plus 500 bet, so obviously FanDuel thinks he's not as good as the model does. But we like him. Those are some juicy odds. He can miss the top 20 like 5 times in a row as long as he does it. Then at plus 550 for a top 20, let's eat. If him or Barkley finish inside the top 20, we're looking good. We just need one or two other guys to finish inside the top 20, and then we're rolling. We're rolling in the green again. I'm not going to touch him in DraftKings. We're just going to have exposure on the top 20, although all the numbers look fantastic. I mean, the putting, ugh. But we know that if the putting just Hideki, that's all I'm saying. Hideki, putting, Emiliano Grillo can probably do it as well. Do we think so? No. But do we hope so? Yes. He needs to duck. A few other words that rhyme with duck for Emiliano Grillo. Next up, Patrick Reed. Approach game, average, great putter. So if it turns into a putting competition, Patrick Reed is looking in the money. But we don't like him. His game is just all over the place. We're going to go elsewhere. Price tag, too high. I don't know. It's tough to bet on a guy that you don't like, right? So anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but nothing to do with Patrick Reed today. Jonathan Vegas is an interesting character. His off the tee game is really, really good. So he's going to be looking at a lot of really nice approach shots. Unfortunately, the proximity stuff from that range is not quite what we're looking for from a man that's going to be in the fairway all the time. So that's all I have to say about Jonathan Vegas. Can the putter stick? It's the putter. The putter's the problem for him. Seems like his irons have been playing better lately. Just going to skip over him. It's okay. We can skip over some people. Go to Chad Raymie. We really do like. Chad Raymie is a bearded, ball striking bonanza man. He's just fantastic. Also, he's only had a few tournaments on tour since coming from the Corn Ferry events, but these Corn Ferry guys have come out firing. Barkley, Raymie, Young, and Taylor Moore. All four of those dudes, and I guess Will Zelotaurus somehow managed to get out of there. He escaped the KFT and made it to the PGA sooner than these guys. But now that these guys have showed up, they're showing us that Corn Ferry Tour is nothing to be laughed at. There's some players on that course, on that tour. And this guy is an absolute ball striker. My God, look at those numbers. I mean, yes, they are a little sample size, small sample size, 6 events, and he missed the cut last week for us. We had him in a few lineups. Come on, Chad. But this week, there's 3 rounds prior to the cut. That's why we like Chad Raymie. We also like him for a top 30 at plus 360. You know how we like these iron players. So, like we were saying, exceptional iron players like this guy, like Russell Henley, like Corey Connors, John Rahm. When these flags aren't going to be tucked away, they're going to be firing. They're just going to be taking dead aim. They're not going to be aiming 4 yards left. They're not going to be aiming 4 yards short. Nothing. We're going to see some serious action at these flags. It may be a good event to bet hole in one, just if you want to be an absolute degenerate. These guys are going to be firing at these flags. So the likelihood is there. Chad Raymie is an exceptional approach player. His putting is a bit of an issue, but I don't know. We'll see what he can do on the putting front. But I think his irons are going to definitely carry him at a course like this where you're off the tee game. His off the tee issues are problematic. So at Waialae, it wasn't quite the course for him. This course is it. He can spray it a little bit and then still shoot at the flags from wherever he is. So Chad Raymie, 1 unit plus 360 for a top 30. I feel good about that, especially if he's got 3 days and at 4% owned. We're going to definitely be going to him on DraftKings because he makes so many birdies and he also makes a lot of bogeys, which is exactly what you want from a guy, especially for 3 rounds. If we can get 3 rounds of back and forth birdie bogey making from Chad Raymie, just enough to get him inside the top 30, that's mission accomplished here on Back 9 Bets, peeps. We'll see what he can do. We'll see what he can do. Next on the list is Luke List. And there's not much to talk about other than this guy's the ultimate team no putt captain. Guy just jacks it off the tee, hits it into the greens like a beast, and then once he gets there, he just forgets how to play golf. So that's the problem. His recent form also doesn't fit in the box, kind of just like Emiliano Grillo. So we're not touching either of those two guys with a 10-foot pole. There's another Luke that we like more. We'll get there. All right, next up. Bezzy, Christian Bizet note. Die seun van Suid-Afrika af. My dude. There's a lot to like about his numbers. There's a lot to like. That prox, look at those prox numbers. Woo! From that range, he's lethal. Absolutely lethal. But it just doesn't seem like he can make enough birdies. I don't know. There's something about like golfers are weird. People are weird, you know. So when you have a birdie look, sometimes it's not like as important to make the putt as when you have a par putt. So I don't know. I never saw a lot from him. He had some bad holes last week, some doubles that really set him back. We had him to win the damn tournament last week. We thought he could really excel around Waialae, where you just have to plod your way around, versus this course where, you know, off the tee, he's going to be in the fairway a lot, but he's going to be in the back of the fairway. The big boys are going to be ahead of him, so he's going to be hitting longer irons in. So can he contend? Can he keep up? Can he make enough birdies? His birdie percentages are okay. You know, he doesn't dominate the par fives because his length isn't there. I love the boy. He's my seun, but just can't get to the guy. Thought I'd mention him. It didn't take long for Harold Varner III to make an appearance on Back Nine Bets. And if you've watched the show, you know Harold Varner is a model machine. And he makes me a maniac because he's on the blacklist. His numbers pop. His numbers absolutely pop all the time. Approach game, fantastic. Off the tee game, good. Putting, okay. Results, terrible. Can't fit his last 24 rounds in the box. It means he's outside the top 100. He cost me 10 units in 2021. 10 units on 20 bets. So, yes, he was a fire pit of money, just burning up. Just disgusting. I wish I figured that out sooner. Him and Tyrrell cost us 18 units. Fading Harold. Not touching him for a while till he proves otherwise. And even then, we might not even go there because once we go back there, we know what's going to happen. Carlos Ortiz. I tried to get his name in the episode title, but I couldn't. I couldn't figure out how to say something with the T's. But Carlos is a guy we like. At 80-1 to win this golf tournament. Coming off an injury where he decided to not play an event after signing up for it just so that he could win this one. The last event he played, he finished second. Recent form is okay. His putting is a bit of a problem, but look at the POA putting. He's 10th in this field putting on POA. There's some guys, we have some sneaky individuals putting on POA, sneaking in to the mix. His approach game is okay. His driving is nice. Top 25 driving. Par fives. That's what we like the most. Par fives and the birdies from Carlos Ortiz is where he is going to make sure he dominates this golf course from. He just does everything that we need from players on this course really nicely. Nothing exceptional apart from the par fives. That's some nice numbers there on the par fives. 4 of those on this course. 16 times he can double down on those birdies. He's got the length to get there in 2, so maybe some eagles. So we're going Carlos Ortiz. Outright, 80-1. He's won golf tournaments before. We know he can win. He finished second to Victor at Mayakoba last time he teed it up. He's going to be healthy. I don't think you'd come back if you weren't. And we're going to go at 7%. We're going to throw him into a lot of lineups, people. He's one of my dark horses this week. I like him a lot. He does a lot of stuff really nicely. Carlos Ortiz, 80-1. Lots of DK lineups. Let's do it. All right, we're getting to the bottom of the board here. The power rankings are now under 1. But Cameron Young, also one of the Corn Ferry guys. So these stats are going to be very weird because, there's only 6 events that they've played in. But at 400 to plus 400 for a top 30 for Cameron Young, he's been playing really nice golf. His last recent form, he's very inconsistent too. So, his recent form's okay, but he just makes a lot of birdies. He's really good at putting, and he just absolutely launches it off the tee. His approach game is a problem. It is a problem. It is a bit of a problem. But hopefully he can hit it far enough. These Corn Ferry guys have just come. I mean, you wouldn't graduate from Corn Ferry Tour if you sucked, right? And there's certain courses, obviously, that I think he would excel on. And look at those off the tee numbers. He's 5th in this field. That's good. That's nice. And his putting is really good. So it's a weird combination. It's kind of like Patrick Rogers. Big off the tee, great putter. What can he do with the irons? It's a lot easier for irons to get flashy. It's a lot easier for a putter to get hot than irons. So that's a bit of a concern. But I think he's going to be driving, if he can keep his driver in bounds, which it seems like he can do, he's going to have himself some seriously impressive approach shots that are a lot closer to the green than a lot of people are going to be seeing over that period of time. And the amount of birdies he makes, he's going to be, I don't know. It looks like there's no one on him ownership-wise. So we'll see. We'll see what we can do. I like him. 400 plus 400 for a top 30. He does it off the tee, man, and with the putter. So we'll see what Cameron Young can get up to. I don't know. It's going to be a fun ride with him. Next up, Justin Rose, South African-born player that lives in England, like half of their population. Last 24 rounds, he's been playing nicely. He went through a bit of a phase where he couldn't quite get it together and then missed that 3-putt on the 18 at the Tour Championship to let, Chesson Hadley make it into the top 125. I'm sure Chesson was giving Rosie a thumbs up for that one. Proximity numbers from 125 to 200 look nice for Rosie. He's a good putter. And, he's coming in with some nice form. We'll see what we can do. I was on the approach with my boys, Dave and Drew, Rob and Drew. Dave. I knew I was going to say Dave at some point. Said it today. Detroit Dave. Terrible handle for a guy named Drew. Anyway, Drew and Rob were fantastic last night. Thanks for having me on, guys. That was a blast. I know Rob was a big fan of Justin Rose. He's going to be rolling with him a little bit. And I can see why. Pete Dye guy, Justin Rose, nice putter, nice proximity numbers there. Off the tee game, not that essential. Justin Rose, guys, 6% owned. Next up, a guy I'm a bit more passionate about than Justin Rose. Tom Hoagie. Look at those proximity numbers. Oh, he's an approach game specialist because that's just what he does well. And that's just what he does well only. The rest of his game, a little bit of a problem. The putting, the driving, issues. But he has been playing some really good golf. The last 24 rounds have been fantastic for the man. Plus 220 for a top 40 for Tom Hoagie. We are going there full unit. Yep. Missed the cut last week. I think on the number. Putting, just the putting. But maybe we go to different greens. He putts a bit better on POA. Makes an okay amount of birdies, but his recent iron play has been phenomenal. He's been on a heater with the irons. So the iron play is what we're leaning on. It's hopefully going to carry him into the top 40. It's hopefully going to 9% owned. I don't know. I'll just do Hayden Barkley again. Just if I'm looking to click Tom Hoagie, I'm just going to go Hayden Barkley. Might have 100% Hayden Barkley in the lineups. I'm that passionate about the man. We're going to take advantage of him. If we get burnt, we get burnt. It's a risk we're going to take. In a GPP, you got to go big sometimes. So I don't know. Tom Hoagie, top 40 bet though, plus 220. I feel like I like that a lot, especially for 3 days to make the cut. If he has a bad putting day, he's got 3 days for his irons to make it up versus just a normal 2. That's what I'm thinking with Tom Hoagie. We'll see what happens. Same person, same situation. Yoda, goofy looking dude, one of my favorite players. We know that he and his dad are quite tight, and his dad not the healthiest of individuals, so it's been weighing on the man for a little while. His approach game, his putting is what he does best. He does so beautifully from those two aspects, and he dominates the par fives nicely. Plus 250 for a top 40 for Yoda, and he's only going to be 3% owned. I really, really do think he's going to play nicely. His off the tee game is what holds him back the most at these 3 golf courses. It's nice to drive the ball well, but if you're a good iron player and a good putter, I think you can get away with some bad drives and not get punished at all for them. And then capitalize. Avoid those bogeys that result from the driver and capitalize on the approach game and the putting. He can light it up, man. He played really well during that Midwest swing, in the end of the summer towards the fall there. He played really nicely, and then the old man had an issue. So now hopefully he can just get it. It's a mental thing with him. The stats are there. It's a mental thing. Can he get it together? 3 days to do it. Lots of points coming from the man. I like Yoda. Let's see what he can do for us. Plus 250 for a top 40. A top 40, man. 65 people make the cut. So, James Hahn is another guy we'll be targeting in DFS. No photo. Apologies for that one. But just like he's got no photo, a lot of people are not seeing James Hahn on the list of DFS players. We see him. The photo's not there, but we know James is there. So 3% owned, $6,600. He may afford us a few extra John Rahms up top. Cool. So that's what's going on there. James Hahn, $6,600. He's just solid. He's just a solid guy. I feel like he can be one of those $6,600 at guys that makes the cut for us, which is what we're looking for in that kind of price range. Very consistent. Not going to do much other than that. I mean, at plus 320 for a top 40, the model didn't even kick that one out. So it shows you that, not the best play in the field, but at $6,600, we like that. So anyway, James Hahn, moving on. Next up, Taylor Moore. Doesn't quite pop in my models as much as the other Corn Ferry guys. Also very limited sample size, but my God, he makes a lot of birdies. And his recent form has been great. He's also one of those guys. Nuke City off the tee. See what he can do with the rest of the game. Just a quick brush over Taylor Moore. 2% owned. Maybe go there a little bit. But again, $7,300. I'm going Hayden Barkley. I just all in on Hayden Barkley. We're going with Hayden Barkley. It's going to be a make or break situation for us, and it's okay. We've made that decision, and we're going with it there. Gary Woodland is another guy that I just thought I'd throw in the mix here to show y'all, because I know a lot of people have been speaking about him. I'm not necessarily on board with the man. Nothing about his game apart from the approach play. Recent form are okay, inside the top 40 going into this week. But nothing screams at me like I want to bet the dude. So there we go. Now there's a Gary Woodland mention in this podcast. So next up, though, we do have Sam Ryder. And at $6,400, because Gary Woodland is at $7,700. At $6,400, we have a guy that grades out a lot better than Gary. Recent form, a bit of a problem, but he made the cut, I believe, last week. So he's riding a bit of confidence. I'm looking at those power putting numbers, and I'm not a fan. However, the approach game isn't bad from Sam Ryder. Makes an okay amount of birdies. And at $6,400, it may be a gamble you have to take. Not going to be a lot of Sam Ryder, but we're definitely going to sprinkle him in a little bit at the bottom. Now, we got to the final guy we're going to chat about, and my favorite player is Luke Donald. His approach game is really good. He's always been solid. He doesn't hit it far, but his range that he excels at is 150 to 175. And because he doesn't hit it that far, he's hitting it into that range a lot more than when the big drivers hit it into the wedge range. Luke Donald hits those 8 and 7 and 6 irons like nobody's business. And I want you to take your eyes and move them over to that POA rank, POA ranking, which is 8th in his last 50 rounds. Luke Donald sits as the 8th best golfer putting on POA. He just finished outside the top 20. He made the cut at Waialae, where his driver is a massive problem. It's disgustingly bad. And when he hits himself into that thick Bermuda rough at Waialae, it was a problem. And he still managed to somehow have a few holes where he strung together a birdie run. And if he can putt, man, we know the former world number 1 can putt lights out. Can absolutely putt lights out. We're going to him at 2% owned. I like Luke Donald. Give me that approach game. Give me those putting stats. $6,300. We're going to throw him into about 20% of our lineups, maybe a quarter. I really like Luke Donald. 3 days as well. A golf course is not as penal off the tee rough-wise, so when he's a little errant, not that big of a deal. He can knock those irons tight and putt lights out. We'll see if those POA numbers stand up. It's been impressive by the man. It really has. So I don't know. It's been a fun pod, boys and girls. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see what happens. We got Hayden Barkley, we got Matthew Wolff, and we got Carlos Ortiz are going to win this goddamn tournament for us. Otherwise, we're going to be sad. The rest of the guys, we got the 10 placings. Confident about most of them, if not all. And yeah, little Luke Donald action to seal the event off here for us. And if you aren't a subscriber to Back Nine Bets on YouTube, I guess you better go do that. And we'll see you guys next week for episode 13. Catch you guys later.